My name is Eduardo Bolsonaro. I am the most voted ever congressman in the history of Brazil and also son of the former president Jair Bolsonaro. I'm together here with some other congressmen from Brazil, Bia Kicis, Marcos Polon, Ulisses Polon, and also with two other European congressmen, Herman Tertsch from Vox from Spain, and also Rob Ross from Netherlands, and also together with us here, some friends, journalists, Marco Antonio Costa. And we are here all together to bring some light for what is going on in Brazil. We are having an attack against our democracy, coming mainly from the Supreme Court, from the hands of one justice called Alexandre de Moraes. Alexandre de Moraes, for example, he sent one congressman to jail, and now he's sentenced 9 years in jail because he made a video and posted this video on social media. This is one of the cases only to you have a little bit of notion of what is going on in Brazil. And more than that, right now, this week is coming up what we are knowing as Twitter Files Brazil, a scandal that is showing that the justice, Alexandre de Moraes, that is persecuting conservatives, he was also, even during the election time in Brazil, the elections of 2020, sending some orders for Twitter to block some users. And not only politicians and journalists, right wings, some other influencers as well. And more than that, he was asking for Twitter Brazil to do not let the users to know that the orders to block them was coming from the Supreme Court. This is very serious. That's why we are here, and we thank Herman Tertsch once again and Rob Ross, because we are here to bring some light. This will be the work of the mainstream media in Brazil. But very sadly, big part of this media is not looking to bring some light for this case, because they survive by public money, by taxpayer money. So they are saying that Mr. Elon Musk, the owner of the X, the former Twitter, he is attacking the democracy, when in reality what is happening is exactly the opposite of that. Now, the US Congress, the Capitol, just invited Elon Musk to go to the Congress of the United States, the most important Congress of the whole Americas, to show what is going on in Brazil, what's the threats that he received. Because it's not possible that we say that in Brazil we have a democracy when a justice from the Supreme Court is censoring one side of the political debate. Our side, the conservative side, because the left wing, there is no problem with them inside of the court. And with the orders coming behind the scenes. We need to bring some light for that, and that's why we are here.
First of all, would you say that Brazil is turning into a tyranny?
Yeah. I don't think that, for example, if you go to Netherlands, if you go to Spain, and imagine some of these gentlemen here doing a video and going to the jail for 9 years. And I have to add that at that time, when this Brazilian congressman, his name is Daniel Silveira, so you can do your research by yourself if you want. At that time, when he was sentenced, the president of Brazil was Jair Bolsonaro. Jair Bolsonaro gave to him the presidential pardon. But when Jair Bolsonaro stepped out from the presidency in January of 2023, after that, the Supreme Court overturned, for the first time in the history of Brazil, a presidential pardon. And now, this congressman, he is in jail. We have a bunch of other cases. We have people that were involved, and sometimes not even in the place where it happened at the January 8th, which was a case in Brazil that people break doors, went to the street. It was a riot, actually. And these people, now, they are receiving sentences of 16, 17 years in jail. We are talking sometimes about old ladies. Last week, a lady of 71 years old was sentenced 15 years in jail because of that. In Brazil, if you kill someone, if you are a drug dealer, whatever, doesn't matter what crime you are doing, you will not receive a punishment like that. But as the Supreme Court, together with the establishment, they want to kill the opposition of Lula da Silva administration, they are doing that to intimidate, to people think twice before they go to the streets again. So, censorship, people going to jail, congressmen that cannot talk. This is the atmosphere in Brazil, and it is impossible that in the middle of that, you say that Brazil is living a democracy.
One more question, and then I'll leave the floor to my colleagues if that's allowed. Brazil is losing its democracy now. You're here to shed light on this issue. Which other steps are you going to take to rescue Brazil from losing its democracy?
We are about to go to United States again. We've been there in December and more recently, like 1 month ago. But now we are going back again for the capital to have a hearing. We expect in the beginning of May to do that by the invitation of Congressman Chris Smith and maybe together with Mr. Elon Musk. So Elon Musk is doing a lot of help for our cause, which is the freedom cause, because he's bringing some light. And it's easy because when someone like Elon Musk, that is not a politician, is not someone that considers himself even a right-wing guy, when someone like him is doing that, it's clear to everybody that this is not something from ideological view that we don't have a democracy. This is reality. And as much more light we can bring for that, we will be very thankful. Because yesterday was with Venezuela, today with Brazil. Don't thinking that tomorrow can happen in Belgium, in Spain, or Netherlands, right, Herman?
Do you fear reprisals now for the parliamentarians that have come to Brussels to denounce all this kind of way to dictatorship that we're seeing in Brazil?
We have, I don't know if the right term, but we are afraid. I can tell you that no one would imagine that, Alexandre de Moraes would never send a congressman to jail. He sent. We thought that Alexandre de Moraes would never arrest 2,000 people at the same time. He did this. We never imagined that he could persecute a former president, even taking his passport with no excusing for that. He did that. My father, he could be here together with us, but he's not. Why? Because Alexandre de Moraes took his passport. You should ask him why he did that. We would love to know. Without trial, very, very good, Ross, very good to remember that. No trial, no broad defense, no due process. Things are happening coming from his mind. So I don't know, Mr. Herman, if I come back to Brazil, if we do come back, we have also journalists here, if we come back there, he's not going to block our social media or take our passport because he doesn't need excuse to do that. This is the problem. And there is no way, there is no other court that we can appeal because we are talking about the Supreme Court. My father is no longer president, but who is processing him? The Supreme Court. Why? Do in your country regular people go for the first trial for the Supreme Court? I don't see this as something fair or democratic.
I think it's very important for the world to listen to what we're saying, and we thank so much Ross and Herman for giving us this platform, because they know that what happens in Brazil will have big impact in Europe and the whole world. You know what? In Brazil, well, first of all, Brazil feeds the whole world, right? And now our agriculture is also under this iron hand, this force, and they are trying to block agriculture in Brazil, just like they're doing in Netherlands. Also, all the drugs that are planted in South America, they go through Brazil and they come to Europe. So what happens in Brazil, this government now that is allied to drug dealers and all kinds of criminals, they will impact in your children's life, because your children will have access to drugs like cocaine or whatever drugs, because in Brazil the government is making it very easy. It's turning the life of criminals and drug dealers and traffickers so easy. So now we have this big problem of censorship, and we have no more freedom of speech. So we are using this platform here in the European Parliament to say what now maybe we cannot say in the Brazilian Parliament. And we have, by our constitution, we have the immunity, parliamentary immunity, to talk about whatever we want to. We can't even be investigated for that. But right now, Nicolas Ferreira, a young congressman the most voted congressman this year in this history of Minas Gerais, a big state. He's being investigated because he called Lula da Silva a thief. But you know, the leftists, they called Bolsonaro a genocide, and it wasn't crime. What do you think it's worse, to be a thief or a genocide? But there's no problem if you call the president a genocide. But if you call the president who was convicted, he was convicted in 3 levels for all the corruption he took part. And now, because Nicholas is being investigated for calling him corrupt, a thief. So this is the kind of censorship that we, from the right wing, are having in Brazil.
They want to shut up us because they have sure that if we can talk with freedom, Lula da Silva administration will fall because they are corrupt. And also, I have to highlight here the great work of Herman Tesch, his friends from Vox, Fundación de Cienzo, Foro de Madrid, our friends from Spain, also for sure, Rob Ross, to expose about Foro de São Paulo group. When you talk about drug dealers, we are talking about the links of the Labour's Party, Lula da Silva Party, together with, for example, the guerrillas of the FARC, the Revolutionary Guerrilla of Chile, the MIRC, that they are together in this group of more than 200 left-wing parties of Latin America. And they work together with drug dealers. That's why be a criminal in Brazil is so easy. And that's how affects you here. If you are receiving great amount of drugs, cocaine, from the big producers in Bolivia, Peru, Colombia, Venezuela, it is coming through Brazil. If you want to fight back against that, and you want to save the teenagers in Europe, you should also support this cause, because Lula da Silva is a criminal that was released by a trick inside of the Supreme Court, remembering that he and Dilma Rousseff, both presidents from the Labour Party, they appointed the most part of the justice in the Supreme Court. So, their friends released Lula 2 years before the election, turned him into a legible one, and then he got elected in a very, very dark election. But this is a subject for, I don't know, at least a couple of hours program.
And more Twitter files coming.
Yeah, more Twitter files. I think you have some news about Twitter files.
We see that social media personalities they have access. They were trying to block right-leaning commentators and channels in Brazil. They were asking for that inside Twitter, Brazil, and also to Twitter headquarters in the USA. But the point is, and I think I don't want to repeat what Eduardo and Biaquices, they already said, we are here because we need to stop Alexandre de Moraes. We need to impeach him. Elon Musk said that on Twitter. And that's not all the solution. We need to reform our constitution to take all the superpowers that the Supreme Court has. So it's a real challenge we are facing, and it's a road that goes both ways. If we don't do that, we are facing tyranny from the Supreme Court, because not only Alexandre de Moraes is abusing his powers. We have Barroso, Gilmar Mendes, Carmen Lúcia. They are dealing with, they are imposing censorship on all of us. So I think the importance of this journey here and our travel here is because you guys are giving us the platform to bring that to international waters. So that's why we are so thankful for you guys to help us.
We know what happened in Venezuela. We don't want that to happen in Brazil.
Yeah, I'm very happy that these people are here. They are very brave. Maybe they are facing sentences that they are put in jail when they are going back. They are really afraid of that. We have to, that's why we have to expose that what's going on. freedom of speech is not only a right, it's an obligation for a healthy democracy everywhere. And we see that freedom of speech is disappearing, not only in Brazil, but all over the West. Scotland, the law last week, Canada, also here in Europe we have the Digital Services Act. Freedom of speech is disappearing in the West. Brazil is, let's say, a pilot project, and it's going very fast over there. So we have to stand united to fight for our freedoms, and that's why I'm so happy that they are here. They can tell their story, they can show the world what's really going on, because all the mainstream media is covering it. They see X as a competition for free media. And I'm so happy that Elon Musk is also joining this fight for free speech. It's so important, because otherwise the West is lost.